Here we are on another test drive, only a couple of more before the end of the year. This happens to be an old build, 3-4 years ago I'm going to say. It is a newer JK. It's got automatic air conditioning and the new interior, cruise control on the steering wheel. This was originally a manual transmission vehicle, and now it's automatic with a bump shift. It's got an LS3 430. This is a heavy JK. It's got a roof rack, armor, a bunch of other stuff on it. And I want to demonstrate how easily this thing cruises. Here we are going 70 miles an hour, which is the speed limit. And we're in a headwind on a slight hill. And this LS3 doesn't care. It just cruises up this hill in 6th gear effortlessly. I remember going up the same hill with my 3.8 Rubicon, constantly downshifting, but this LS3 doesn't care. So when you make your engine choice, one of the critical factors is cubic inches, and that holds true up to through the Gen 4 engines. Smaller displacement engine for the lighter vehicles, and the larger displacement engines for the heavier vehicles, especially if you want to do highway cruising. If you have a light JK, not lifted, or you don't intend to do a lot of highway travel, the 5.3 is a great engine. So we're going to be going up to the mountain up there where there's some snow, and we'll be back and we'll talk about some interfacing. This particular JK, because it is an older build from several years ago, has some of our older technology in it, but this is the path we had to take to get where we're at now. And I'm not actually sure that this is any less desirable or functional than what we're doing now. Like I said, this is an early JK build. It's a late model JK, but it has our Generation 2 electronics. And last video we talked about why the LS works so well in the JK, and then it became a matter of how do you get it functional into a JK. So there are several different ways to interface a cross manufacturer swap, or even a same manufacturer swap. What we decided to do was come up with our MoTech module, which is a universal interface module. And what it can do is take signals in, process them, and then put signals out. So if you wanted to put an LS engine into a Toyota or a Mazda, our interface module is very flexible and programmable. So it would allow you to program the module rather than the vehicle electronics to interface this. It's basically a bridge. Now, there's other ways of doing the same thing. What we wanted to do was make it as reliable as possible. So in the beginning, we used analog digital bridging. What that basically means is, take the high-vac controller for example. Now this happens to be a late model, so this doesn't apply, but the earlier JKs had a multiplex signal. But either way, for instance on the GM side, when you hit the cruise control switch signal, that's a multiplex signal. That multiplex signal is monitored by the BCM for rationality, stuck switch position, and other errors. Then the body control module transmits it onto the CAN bus, and it is processed by several modules. The ABS module, the transmission control module, the engine control module. And if everything is right and there are no codes present, your cruise control activates. Now if we were just to take that signal and transmit a CAN message to turn the cruise on, you're bypassing all that functionality. So it's really critical that you keep the functionality as designed by the manufacturer. Now as time has gone on, we have tried to simplify the electronics. We are moving into the CAN interfacing, and we have to be careful because CAN, unlike these discrete signals that put the signal back into the module as intended, CAN actually is sending messages on the network that these modules process. Manufacturers have done a pretty good job, so we want to work within the manufacturer's network to get the most functionality and the best safety. So let's talk about the Gen 2 module. The Gen 2 module changed a lot of things. It took our air conditioning from being discrete and it made it electronic. So we read evap temperature right off the condenser, off the evaporator, and use that information to cycle the compressor. We read pressure right off the condenser and use that to cycle the compressor. Mainly that's used as a high pressure cutout, as if your fan were to quit. Now we've been doing that for over 5 years, maybe 6 or 7 years, and it's a very reliable system and it mimics the Jeep function very well. We're starting to integrate that through CAN now, but we're still going to maintain that same functionality. You're going to see some CAN technology. We're actually running a Jeep at the shop right now with our CAN interface, and we're going to test it carefully to make sure that all the appropriate parameters are supported, all the rationality checks and safety is in place, and then we'll slowly integrate our CAN into the production kits. But now that we have our Generation 3 and Generation 4 modules out, we've gone way beyond what this Generation 2 module can do. And as you can see, this Generation 2 module, it works really well. Our Generation 3 and 4 modules can control automatic air conditioning. The Gen 4 module does have the CAN interface built into it. We're controlling power modes, cruise control, oil pressure, coolant temperature, Prindle, just a whole bunch of stuff. And all this stuff is programmable, meaning it's not bespoke to one vehicle. I can push a couple of buttons and use our MoTech module in a TJ or a JK. Or we use them in YJs, we use them in Toyotas, we use them in Chevy trucks. So there's something to be said for this older technology, and the MoTech module is not going away anytime soon. In fact, our new Gen 4 module is going to be around a while, because with the CAN interface built in, we can use that for the functionality we need on the CAN.